people an opportunity to just hear the different perspectives and ask your own questions. Just as a very brief introduction so you know who I am, my name is Marjorie Hall. Until last week it was Marjorie Hall Snook. So if you've seen my name before, I'm the same person with a slightly less silly name now. I grew up in this area. I went to DeKalb County schools. I have lived in what is now the Vista Grove footprint. I live over off Fraser Road for the past 15 years. I'm a PTA mom in DeKalb County schools, so I'm not paid. I'm not officially with the county. I have not paid with the county or a contractor with the county. I'm a small business owner here in Atlanta, and I just got involved in this issue several years ago because I'm very passionate about this community of DeKalb County that has been my home for my entire life, and I want it to be the best that it can be. DeKalb Strong formed largely in opposition to the La Vista Hills movement. For anybody who doesn't know, people come with a huge range of knowledge about the history of all this, I'm sure, but there was a referendum to form a city in this area back in 2015, and it was voted down. And we were part of that campaign. So just to give the basic, I could talk about our perspective and why we oppose this for an hour, which I am not going to do. Although you're welcome to reach out to me. My email is marjoriehall@gmail.com. You can also get us through our Facebook page, DeKalb Strong. Also info@DeKalb Strong is our email. So if you have any specific questions about our position, but to state our case very quickly, what it really comes down to is you don't get something for nothing. And having another layer of government is expensive. It's very expensive. It costs millions of dollars a year to have more communications people, lawyers, other facilities, clerks. There is an infrastructure even before you provide the first service, before you fill the first pothole or blow leaves at the park. There's an infrastructure for having a government that goes far beyond just what you're paying a city council and another government just for the city to exist. And it ends up sucking up a huge amount of the budget of any city. It's just the cost of having an entity like that. And just to really explain what cityhood is, it's not a replacement for DeKalb County. That even in what are called full service cities, all of the cities are still getting most of their municipal services from the county. So the animal shelter, the library, the health department, the sheriff and the jail, all of that stuff is going to come from the county no matter what. And it's a minority of services that come from a city. So you're paying kind of a premium in order to have a whole extra level of government and 7 extra politicians to administer a small number of services. And our perspective is that is wasteful. One thing that has really been, and I know that there are frustrations with DeKalb County's government sometimes. And I'm not going to go out there and say, no, we don't need to do anything different because our government is clearly perfect, because that has never been our perspective. All governments always need a lot of watching and a lot of maintenance, whether it's a city or it's a county. The problem often when you form another level of government is you still have the issues that you have in the county because it doesn't actually address those, and now you have them on a city level as well. And it is true that a lot of the new cities have gone on to very quickly have a lot of the same corruption problems that we have in the county, and sometimes it can be a little bit harder to really police them because they fly under the radar. You don't have, there are investigative reporters that are all over everything that happens in DeKalb County, and that doesn't happen quite so much when you're talking about a Clarkston or a Tucker. And so sometimes it can make it a little bit harder to know what is going on with these smaller governments. Another part of our perspective is, it is very important to me as someone who loves this community. It is important for all of us that our entire community is healthy. Drawing an arbitrary boundary and saying, we just should be concerned with this area, and what happens outside of this boundary does not matter to us, I don't think is the healthiest way to look at how we get our government. For one thing, some of the services, I mean, just on a practical level, Mason Mill Park, which is one of my favorite parks that I go to and I ride bikes with my kids and enjoy that beautiful trail, that is not in this footprint. So my tax dollars that go to pay for parks would no longer be able to support that park. Or Arabia Mountain, which is another place that I love to go. My world encompasses, I like to say, every morning when I drive my kids to school and then go into work, I drive through 4 different jurisdictions. And it is important to all of us that all of them are healthy. I think that most of our problems that we have in the metro area are regional. When you're looking at things like public safety and transportation, that these are best things that are dealt with in a coordinated way and not in a piecemeal way. We have more than 70 now, separate police jurisdictions in metro Atlanta. We have multiple different 911s. So since Brookhaven has a private contractor that does their 911 instead of regular DeKalb, if your cell hits a tower that's in Brookhaven, you get the wrong 911. And you have to go through a whole extra process of transferring back to the right 911 before they can dispatch the right person. I think that these kind of problems are better for us to deal with in a coordinated way and not in a piecemeal way, because we are broadly affected by the health of our entire community. I'm going to say 2 more points. The Robinson Institute, which is the same institute that does studies to see whether cities are going to be feasible, whether it's even possible to afford to pay for another layer of government without raising taxes. They recently did a study that said that the net impact of Vista Grove was, I think it comes out to, they said $16 million that it was the net impact that it was going to take from the other services that DeKalb County provides that are outside of the scope of the city services. So that would be money that would come from the libraries, from the animal shelter, from the other services we're still going to get. The county would feel those impacts when you take money away from the county and you use it to fund creating another layer of government. And that number, to be fair, was overstated because they were assuming that the city of Vista Grove would take police as one of their services, which was part of the original proposal. That is not the proposal at this point in time. So the CBI study overstated it. The impact is closer to $5.5–6 million. That is the net loss to county services when we use that money to instead fund a city layer of government. And again, I think that it is, we are not only concerned with what happens just in the street in front of our house. We live in a much broader community and we leave the confines of this relatively arbitrary boundary every day. So I think taking actions that have a negative impact on the county government is bad for everybody that lives in the county, whether they're in a city or whether they're unincorporated. And just to finish, I don't want to belabor the annexation point too much, especially if we have somebody from Vista Park here who can talk to that. I just wanted to make it clear that everybody understood. I have heard a lot of people, when I talk to people on this issue, I hear a lot of anxiety of people saying, well, the people are just going to come grab us. We're gonna get annexed by a city whether we like it or not. And I just think that it's important that people understand that that isn't the way it works. You cannot get unilaterally annexed by a city. As the Vista Park people will tell you, it takes quite a lot of effort. Like you have to get homeowners to sign petitions affirmatively. It's actually a lot higher bar than the votes that are often used to create new cities, to annex into another city, because you have to get 60% of homeowners to say that they in fact want to. There's a few different methods with a few different numbers, but they're all high. So you don't have to worry about somebody grabbing you against your will. Annexing is something, if there's a strong sense in a neighborhood that you want to annex into a city, then start a petition drive, and that's something that is a possibility. But it's unlikely to happen unless there's overwhelming support within a neighborhood. There's one neighborhood that has desperately wanted to be in Tucker ever since Tucker got created, because they're in the Tucker High School District, and they got left off with all these last minute map changes, and they want to be in Tucker, and they haven't been able to do it because just finding enough of the homeowners to talk to going to be a little bit more difficult than they can do. So it's a lot of work to get annexed into a city, and it's not something that's going to happen unless there's a pretty strong consensus in the neighborhood. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude right now, so y'all can hear other people. But I don't know if we're going to do a question and answer, but whether we do or not, I will be around if anybody wants to talk to me directly. I'm happy to talk to people more.
Yeah, so what, I think all three speakers have graciously agreed to stay after for a few minutes as soon as we wrap up, if you have questions. And then we are also going to send out in the same email the contact information, like that Marjorie just gave for herself, information for like the website for Vista Grove or whatever they send to us, and then anything we can